going to continue in this video by adding some lines that go along the base of the boiler. But before I do that, I have a render here just to show you what the front end looks like. I added the other parts of the cow catcher, a couple other little pieces, and I scaled up this middle rail that we made earlier. Just minor adjustments, nothing big, and you can see it's really looking good. So I'm going to hide this render, and we're going to unhide all. So I want to make sure we go to Layer Manager. Blueprints are showing, so what we'll do now is unhide all, click on No, and we have the blueprint showing. Okay, and now what we're going to do is select the blueprint, F4 to make sure we have it selected, and the boiler. I'm going to Alt and Q to isolate, left viewport. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Okay, there we go. And now what I'm going to do is just select the boiler. I'll click out in the open space, click the boiler again, Alt and X. And now what we can see is that there's some lines here that come up from this top piece. There should actually be a little fitting there. And they just drag down here along the boiler, and then some extend beyond that. So I'm going to just draw them on the surface. And we haven't done this yet in this exercise, so I'm going to expand the Graphite Tools a little bit. Go to Freeform. We have the boiler selected. We need to be down at Edit Poly. There we go, and that activates the freeform. If we're not in an Edit Poly layer, these tools are unavailable, which is why we didn't see them. Where it says Grid, we will pick On Surface, Draw on Surface, Pick, and we will pick the boiler, just like that. One tick to make 0.100 the offset. Now instead of coming over here to Conform Brushes, what we're going to do is use the Topology tool or the Splines tool. So when we click on Splines, we can draw right on here right now, but what will happen is it'll make a really point dense spline. It'll have a lot of points and not be really optimized. So I'm going to extend this, and I'm going to make the minimum distance. Let's try 35, and just from trial and error, I think that should be about what we need for the scale of this model. I'm going to just do that, and now I'm going to go to Splines. I'm going to go in Perspective Viewport a little bit because I find that these tools work better with a little bit of a perspective view. Click on Splines, and what I'm going to do is just click, and I'm going to drag this out and draw this line right on the surface. You can see that black line, that's the actual spline being drawn. And when I'm done, I'll right click. I'm going to do another one. We'll do the other one right now as well. It's going to draw. There we go. You can see that being drawn. I'm going to right click when I'm done. I'm going to exit isolation and zoom in a bit. P for perspective and zoom. There we go. And now what I'm going to do, Alt and X on the boiler, so it's not transparent. And you can see these are on the surface, these splines we drew. So what we'll do is, we'll get the Select tool. I'm going to select F3. I'm going to select one of them. I'm going to make it renderable as we did earlier. You can see it's going through that little step. So my solution, let's move the step just a little bit. Just like that. Not a big deal. No one will know. And we'll grab that spline and make sure in the left viewport it's about the right thickness. So we might need to Alt and X the boiler again. I selected the boiler. You can see it's not lined up, but there's not a big deal because we did in perspective it's a little bit off. So I'm going to Effect Pivot Only, Center to Object, and I'm just going to kick it back a little bit. It should be at the middle of this little portal thing on the top of the train. We're not totally concerned whether it runs exactly the way that the ones in the reference do. And we're going to do the same on this spline. We're going to make it renderable in the viewport. And I'm going to also Effect Pivot Only, Center to Object, and we're going to move that back a little bit. And that looks good. I know they're not perfect to what we see in the blueprints, but it's not tragic. I'm going to go to Perspective, get that boiler and make it opaque again by Alt X. And what we'll do is this front spline, it kind of runs down toward the bottom near the chassis, and it hangs down actually all the way at the bottom of the chassis. So what I'm going to do is select that spline, the boiler. Maybe I'll grab this half of the chassis. Let's see, I got it. And I'm going to Alt and Q, F3 left viewport, F3 for wireframe if we don't already have it. There we go. I'm toggling F3. And now what I'm going to do is just go to Create Panel. I'm going to use a line, and I'm going to overlap it a little bit. And we're not doing this on the surface this time. We're going to just drag it off and make a shape that kind of does what I want it to do. Like that, okay? And then go to Perspective Viewport. And we're going to move it out to the edge, like out this way, like around there. And you can see like that's a good point for those two pieces to meet. You could even pull it in a little bit. Why not? There we go. As long as we're not intersecting the frame, and we're not. What we'll do now is grab the top one, and we're going to attach the bottom with the attach tool. There we go. Attach. We'll pick this one. And now we'll just use, let's get this vert, unclick attach. Let's move it down a little bit and kind of align it. There we go. It's an easy move. Now let's just select both. There's probably two there. Yeah, two verts. And we're going to just fuse and weld them first. Fuse, then weld. And right click, convert to Bezier. And now you have a smooth transition from the piece that wraps around the boiler to the piece that drains down towards the wheels. So we can exit isolation. You can see that piece is kind of hitting the wheel, but that's not a big deal. Again, let's just go to vert level, grab some of these. We can reroute it. You know, that's why it's editable. Maybe our train is a little different configuration than what we had the blueprint. We can pull this back. We can also, when I made that big stretch, that big move just now, it's going to make it a little faceted. So we're going to up the interpolation to 12. Okay, and you can see that smoothed it out. And there you have it. So now that line runs all the way down to the bottom like it should. And you can do the same with the other one if you need to. And anywhere on here that you might see on the blueprints, let me select the blueprint, Alt and X. No, I'm sorry, Alt Q. There we go. So we have two that run here. We have one that runs from back here and down. So I'll make that one as well. I'll show you how to do that. And then when we pause the video after that one, we're going to make a few little loops that hold this string that goes to the bell. And that's how when you're in the cabin here, you pull this little string, it'll ring the bell. So I'm going to pause the video and we'll pick up there.